there's one place I would never want to be stranded in, it's the ocean. Alright, now it's not because I can't swim, because I can totally swim, okay? I mean, if you count doggy paddling as swimming. But besides that, it's one large environment where we humans act like we own it, when in reality, we only partially control the surface of it. Like seriously, we know more about space than we do our own oceans, which if that doesn't tell you just how difficult it is to adventure the deep seas, I don't know what will. Hi, my name is Undead Talks, and today I'll be talking about why I'm absolutely terrified of the ocean. Now, I like to point out that when I was younger and naive, I thought that this big blue puddle was beautiful and filled with majestic creatures, like dolphins and seahorses. And to some extent, that's true. But growing up and actually watching videos about the ocean and just the many ways you can die, not just from drowning, is pretty crazy. I mean, seriously, the stuff you find, especially in the deep sea, is literal nightmare fuel. So that's fun. But enough stalling around, let's get straight into the video. So remember when I said that I know how to swim? Well, that was a lie. Shocker. But seriously, it's not something rare. In fact, according to the Red Cross survey, more than 54% of all Americans don't know how to swim safely. Some of you watching this video might not know as well. And to be completely honest, that's okay. Especially if you never swim or are near any large bodies of water. However, it definitely is an important skill to know, just in case you are in danger of drowning. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter at all if you swim in the ocean. You can be an Olympic athlete, and you'd still drown in the ocean because 1, the water is freaking cold, duh. Depending where you're on in the world, the average temperature of the ocean is 68 degrees Fahrenheit. But the closer you are to the poles, the colder it gets, to the point where it is 28 degrees Fahrenheit. This causes cold shock, where your heart rate gets faster, as well as your blood pressure, leading to shortness of breath. You would be in extreme panic and fear, causing you to lose your breathing and become more and more tired, thus drowning. But let's say you're used to the cold, which in that case leads me to point 2, the waves and tides. Because the ocean has currents that always move at random, the waves would push and pull you around, making it absolutely impossible to swim effectively. Again, it doesn't matter how good you are as a swimmer, because you're contending with gallons and gallons of water pushing against you, which will always be a losing battle. And this is with small currents, so imagine trying to swim against a tidal wave, or worse, a tsunami. Which leads me to my next topic. Now, before I start, no, tidal waves and tsunamis aren't the same. While both are sea waves, a tidal wave is caused by currents, while a tsunami is caused by other natural disasters, such as earthquakes or landslides, and are much more larger. Hell, just looking at a tsunami is terrifying, because what can you even do in that situation? Like you're just chilling on the beach, and all of a sudden, a large blue mountain starts getting closer and closer. You can run, but to further express my point, a tsunami can reach speeds of up to 20 to 30 miles per hour on land. So unless you have a bike or a car, you're screwed. And they aren't the only natural phenomena you have to worry about, because there's also deadly storms, which can just straight up capsize your ship if you aren't careful. There's also hurricanes or cyclones that can cause terrible damage. The deadliest cyclone in history is the Great Bola Cyclone, which struck Bangladesh in 1970 and killed more than 500,000 people. Yes, 500,000. That's the population of an entire state, just gone like that. There's a reason why airplanes and ships go around a storm, because going into them is a death sentence. Ships can either be submerged or worse, get ripped apart, killing the entire crew. As for planes, they can also be ripped apart alongside their crew members, thus resulting in a horrible plane wreck. No matter how good our technology is, nature will always humble us. Now, on to my final topic, the Shadow Realm. Alright, so up until now, I've been talking about the dangers of the surface of the ocean. But of course, like a pit, the deeper you go, the darker it gets. That's what she said. Sorry about that. Now, to summarize, the depths of the ocean are made up of 5 zones. At the very top is the sunlight zone, which of course is the brightest. Most marine life live in it because of the visibility, as well as the nutrients from absorbing the faint sunlight. However, water is really good at absorbing sunlight, so it's only 200 meters or 656 feet deep. Next is the twilight zone. Now this is where shit starts to get weird, especially the animals that live in it. Here, the ocean becomes very dim, to the point you would struggle to look past your hand. Now it is possible to swim here, but you'd need special gear and lots of deep sea training to survive because of the extra pressure on top of you. This is also where many strange creatures live, such as the fangtooth and the anglerfish, which look exactly what a demon would think a fish looks like. I mean, look at that. Okay, that's enough of that. The twilight zone rests at 200 meters to 1,000 meters below the surface. Past it is the midnight zone, at which point it is physically impossible to swim in it because of the intense water pressure. It is also extremely dark, to the point of being pitch black. This is also where most organisms gain special adaptations to survive, such as bioluminescence to use as their own light. One example is the dragonfish, which has red lights that are emitted by its eyes. They have it in order to better see other creatures, basically having flashlights for eyes. The midnight zone also extends from 1,000 meters to 4,000 meters deep. Now comes the nightmare fuel. So remember when I said something about the shadow realm? Well, because the abyssal zone is just that. It is called that because it's literally an abyss. At this point, there is no light at all, and the water pressure is so intense that your lungs would collapse and your blood vessels would burst, essentially causing internal bleeding. That's why the only organisms that live in such a depth are super specialized in that environment, such as the Dumbo octopus, which surprisingly looks cute compared to the other horrors of the sea. This creature has evolved to be translucent, as well as to have color-changing skin, making them able to camouflage anywhere in the ocean. And since they're small, they don't need sunlight or much nutrients from the surface at all. In fact, all the creatures in the abyssal zone are really small compared to others because of how extreme the environment is. And lastly is the Haddle zone, which is in some parts of the ocean, including the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest depth in the entire ocean, being 6,000 to 11,000 meters deep. For a reference, the Burj Khalifa is only 828 meters tall. Now, there's not much to say of the Haddle zone because it's largely unexplored because of the water pressure. There are, however, photos that were taken that showed active volcanoes at that depth. Even though the deeper you go, the more dangerous it becomes, somehow life there persists, which to me is absolutely fascinating. With that being said, there is a lot to learn from the ocean. From difficulty of trying to swim, the natural disasters that erupt, and the absolute depths of the abyss. The ocean is vicious, with only the most cautious that survive its perils. Although I'm still scared to go to the sea, I'm still largely fascinated by how dangerous, yet beautiful it is. There's still so much to explore, so many secrets that are just waiting to be revealed. It may take hundreds of years to fully understand it, but until then, it's our job as humans to continue exploring, as well as to take care of our oceans by not littering and polluting. This was a fun topic to talk about, and I'm glad you made it to the end. Make sure to like and subscribe, and until then, later.